This is it. This is the video on the Mount Chiliad Mystery. After hundreds of comments requesting it, we're finally here. Now, unlike many other YouTubers, I'm not claiming that I'm the first person to come to this conclusion. I'm sure many other players did in 2013, but for some reason the Mount Chiliad Mystery remains in 2025. So there needs to be a video that puts an end to it before GTA 6 releases. Now, I know, an apparent former Rockstar employee did come out and say that there is no Mount Chiliad Mystery. And to a degree that is correct, but the Mount Chiliad Mural isn't just in the game for no reason, it does have a meaning. And this entire conclusion ties into one of the videos that I posted a few weeks ago on the Fort Zancudo lights. So let's get straight into the famous mural found on top of Mount Chiliad. Now there are 3 symbols at the bottom of this mural, and these symbols are a lot simpler than we initially believed. The UFO symbol on the left represents 2 out of 3 UFOs that can be found at 100% completion. Notice how the line coming out of the UFO splits into 2 and then connects to the center in the same place. Next we have the Jetpack symbol. The Jetpack symbol represents flying, specifically flying up high. Notice how it once again splits into 2 before connecting into the center, and at the very bottom of this mural it has its own line connecting specifically to the UFO. This symbol is literally just telling us that we need to fly up really high to see the first 2 UFOs. Which is true, we do need to do that to see the Beam Me Up UFO and to see the Fort Zancudo UFO. They are both incredibly high up in the sky. But to see the Mount Chiliad UFO, we do not need a flying vehicle. So the jetpack was never a literal jetpack that we had to find. They could have put a symbol of a helicopter there and it would have meant the same thing. They only chose a jetpack because of the history of the jetpack in GTA San Andreas. Which is the same reason why they put the blueprints for the old jetpack in the bunker in GTA Online, and not the blueprints for the new jetpack. Now the third and final symbol is an egg, and this symbol represents us, the player. Our progress in the GTA 5 story as we slowly go from 0% completion to 100% completion. That is why there's a straight line going from the egg to the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye is the third UFO that appears once you hit 100%, the UFO hovering over Mount Chiliad. And that is why all of the lines on this mural end up connecting to the middle line, because the middle line is the progress line. You see, 100% progression is actually where these lines all connect. Just above halfway up the mural where the Fort Zancudo and the Beam Me Up UFO connects to the jetpack, that is 100%. But once you hit 100%, you're supposed to come back to Mount Chiliad. Witnessing the Mount Chiliad UFO is supposed to be the final thing you do. It quite literally says it at the top of the mountain, come back when your story is complete. And by that they don't just mean story mode, they mean 100%. Okay, so now we know what all 3 of these bottom symbols represent. Now let's move on to the 5 squares with X's inside. This part is incredibly simple. These represent the 5 glyphs. Glyphs are symbols, a visual way of conveying information. Now in case you didn't know already, there are actual glyphs on Mount Chiliad. 6 glyphs to be exact. We're not counting the this, because this is completely unrelated to those glyphs. And of course the lightning bolts obviously symbolize stormy weather. Now like I said, there are 6 glyphs. 5 of them are white and 1 of them is red. The red one is the all-seeing eye, which is at the very top of the mural, and the other 5 glyphs represent the 5 squares with X's inside. But why are they on the mural? Well, they serve as hints towards the player. Even their exact positioning on the Mount Chiliad mural is a hint. You see, these 5 X's are telling us exactly where these glyphs are on Mount Chiliad. So standing at the bottom of the mountain in a certain position in Palito Bay, we'll line up all of these glyphs perfectly as they are on the mural. But why would we need to do that? Perfect question. From this exact location, it's telling us where the UFOs are and how we can see them. Notice how there's 1 square with an X off to the left of the mural. That specific glyph is a white all-seeing eye, which means regular UFO. And it's off to the left telling us that there is a UFO on that side of the map. And it's correct, there is. The Beam Me Up mountain is on its own on that side of the map. And once you arrive at the Beam Me Up mountain, there are more glyphs on the floor telling you how to see this UFO. So we've covered the first box with an X inside off to the left. Now if we look at the other box at the bottom of the mountain, that is also an all-seeing eye. This one is simply telling us that there is a UFO at the top of Mount Chiliad. It's the original hint leading to the top of the mountain. Now if we take a look at the other 3 boxes with an X inside, these are simply requirements. The one on the right tells us we need to be here during the night, which is true. The UFO will only appear at 3 AM. The one on the far left tells us that it needs to be during stormy weather, which is also true. And the one in the middle tells us that it appears at the very top of the mountain. This is also one of the original glyphs that can be found near the Beam Me Up mountain. It's placed there as, let's say, a starting point for the Mount Chiliad Mystery, to make you look up and see the huge mountain in front of you. Now there is no glyph on this mountain for the Fort Zancudo UFO, and I believe there is a good reason for that. I believe the white all-seeing eye glyphs represent the typical UFO in GTA 5, and only the typical ones. The Fort Zancudo UFO is not a typical UFO. I did cover this in my Fort Zancudo Strange Lights video a few weeks ago. The strange lights themselves are the hint towards that UFO, so there's no glyphs, it's the actual lights. Most things that can be found in this game are simply hints towards the UFOs. If any of you know about the red arrows that are around the map, this is classed as an unsolved mystery as well. They have the same purpose as the glyphs, that's why one of them can be found with the glyph. The purpose of the red arrows is simply to point you towards the 3 UFOs. Now I could have made a completely separate video on how I figured the red arrows out, but in the end I decided to just make it a part of this video, otherwise I'd just be repeating information. So I guess that mystery is also classed as solved once I drop this video. But back to the mural, because there's one last thing on this mural that we need to discuss, and that is the all-seeing eye at the very top. Now yes, it represents the UFO that spawns at 100%, but the whole point of this mystery is to tell us a little more. The reason they put a UFO at the top of Mount Chiliad is to show us the FIB logo spinning on the side of it. This means the FIB created these UFOs. They are the aliens. They are the all-seeing eye. The government controls the people, and this is proved perfectly with the Beam Me Up mountain. The FIB put a UFO over that location, and the alien hippies literally built a shrine below it to worship the aliens, who are in fact the FIB. So the Mount Chiliad Mystery is a play on real life. The fact that the government, the people in power, control the population. And we can hit 100% all we like, we can get to the top of the mountain, but the UFO is still out of reach. Because we alone are not the all-seeing eye. So that's it, that's the Mount Chiliad Mystery. A bit of a disappointment, I know, but that's only because we the player base wanted it to be more. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're ever gonna like a video of mine, it should probably be this one. I think this is the most important video I've made. If you like GTA 5 mysteries, I've posted a bunch. Go check them out, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.